So what is a safe withdrawal rate and what's the 4% rule? Put it really simply, a safe withdrawal rate is the starting percentage at retirement that you could take out of your portfolio and adjust that number every single year for inflation and never run out of money. The 4% rule is actually one of the things that they've studied pretty extensively and that's quoted pretty extensively, that's built off the concept of a safe withdrawal rate. So where did the 4% rule come from? There was a study by a gentleman by the name of Bill Bengen, and he looked at all 30-year rolling periods, I think from 1926 to 1976. And he looked at 30-year rolling periods because he wanted to simulate the span of a full retirement. And what he said was, based on a 50-50 split of stocks to bonds, what's the most money you could have ever taken out at the starting point and never run out? And what he found was that number was 4%. Now, he's taken some criticism unfairly, I think, in subsequent years based on things that he actually said in the study. In other words, he didn't say 50-50 was the right stock to bond allocation, and he even said there are some allocations that might work better. He didn't say 4% was the right number. He just said that is the one number that wouldn't have led you to run out in any scenario. What you'd find if you looked in his actual study is that he saw safe withdrawal rates in some areas were close to 4%, and some areas they were over 10%. There's a really great tool on portfoliocharts.com with withdrawal rates that allows you to illustrate safe withdrawal rates in different areas, and it also allows you to allocate to different asset classes and show you how that impacts safe withdrawal rates. And I'm going to show that in this section, and I'm also going to go over it in the investing section because it illustrates some of the benefits of diversification and how that ultimately impacts your plan long term. So with that being said, how do you use that information? Well, one of the things you have to understand is that a 4% safe withdrawal rate and a 10 or 11% safe withdrawal rate is a hell of a big difference, right? And that's the same thing that you have to understand about Monte Carlo analysis. Monte Carlo is a probability analysis, and there are a wide range of distributions in any analysis like that. What it also means is if you run your entire plan, if you run a plan every single year and you're always sitting at about 100% probability of success, likely you're on the very conservative end of that, and you're probably going to die with quite a bit of money. It also means even if you only have a 50% chance of success, you aren't necessarily going to run out of money. You just have to hope that your timing luck was impeccable, and that's been true for some people. On top of that, there are other things that you have to consider. If you're really conservative and you don't even want to encroach on your principal, the portfolio charts tool also has what they call a perpetual withdrawal rate, and that's what that's saying. Same thing with people who are a little bit more aggressive. If you're really aggressive and you don't have money to pass on or you don't want to pass on money, then the safe withdrawal rate of say 4% or 100% Monte Carlo result in your financial plan is probably not what you're shooting for. You might be shooting for 50, 60, 70% chance, and that might look like a 6 or 7% withdrawal rate. The important thing to understand in that scenario is that there is a pathway that could cause you to have to make adjustments. Meaning if you end up with really unlucky timing and as it relates to your retirement, say you retire in 2000 and you have 2 recessions in 10 years, or you retire in 2007 and you have the worst financial crisis in 80 or 90 years, then in those cases you may have to make adjustments. And that's what you have to understand. So always understand the numbers, always understand what your plan looks like, what your safe withdrawal rate looks like, what your Monte Carlo looks like, but don't be a slave to them. You have to use them as tools. You have to understand how they work in principle in order to build a plan around them. More aggressive people are going to want to lean harder on a Monte Carlo and push it more towards that 50, 60, 70% probability of success, which means subsequently higher withdrawal rates, and conservative people go on the other end of the spectrum. That's all that means.